Hello, this is Benjamin Price reporting for Kids First, and today I'll be interviewing Jalyn Hall and Danielle Deadwyler, who play Emmett and Mamie Till in the new film Till. How are you both doing today?
We're doing great.
Doing amazing.
So, first and foremost, how did you both get involved with this movie?
Well, I'd say in the traditional manner for both of us, auditions. Well, beforehand, I got a script, and I said, this is Till. Okay, so you know you're going to read something that's going to take you through a harrowing experience, but it's through the POV of Mamie Till, who led the way in making sure that people are aware of this story, were aware of the experience of her son and her family in bringing this tragedy to the light, to galvanize not just a national but a global understanding of what was happening to Black people in the South at this time. And I auditioned like twice. There was an initial one, and then there was a second one where we dug the director session is what we call it, and dug into some meatier parts, and then they were like, we want you to take this journey with us. And I was like, oh snap.
Yeah. So pretty much the same thing, but I think I auditioned a lot more.
Really?
I think so, because it was like a very long period of time where you know what I'm saying, we were just talking. But it was a long process, but I didn't know what the project was for. I just read the lines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so not until I think my second one where I knew what I was going out for, but I could tell that it was, a certain gravity in the script.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of drew me to it.
And then we had to read together.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was my third one.
And then they were like, oh, okay. And then the day you and your mom came.
Oh, yeah. I thought
they
that
thought
was
it was another audition, but it wasn't. It was an offer.
The real deal.
And it was so beautiful when when they learned it, because they both just were so happy and crying. Your mama, and then he came over and he hugged me. And the next thing you know, they put on some music and we were dancing.
yeah. It was a great moment.
He just had the spirit, of Emmett and that joy.
Yeah. So I know you auditioned over Zoom at some point, which,
I did.
Having seen this movie, I'm just kind of amazed by. Like, what were the challenges of trying to sort of capture the essence of a role like this that is so, like, present and emotional, but through a virtual session?
Yeah. So the initial is just a self-tape. And so the director session that I was talking about was specifically the moment where Mamie witnesses his body after coming back from Mississippi for the first time. And there are no words, right? There are literally no words.
Yeah.
There are spiritually no words that can go into taking on such a challenge, such a devastating kind of thing. And so for me, it was living purely in Mamie's words. She has a memoir co-written with another author and she has about 2 pages where she literally talks about what it was to go through that experience, to have a kind of detachment or a scientific approach to going into it, as she spoke of it, and just looking at him from head to toe. So that was what the director session was, and our director Chinoya and I, we went through that a couple of times in that session, and that was like a settling into understanding the full breadth of the emotional journey to a certain degree of what I would have to go through.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, you're fearful in doing something like this because you know it's going to do something to you, and you can't skirt it, right? You have to just you have to go fully into it. You have to understand the hurt, appreciate the hurt. You have to understand and appreciate the joy. You have to understand and appreciate the community building that happens through all of the trauma, and yet remember that you are telling a story of joy, because this is about remembrance of him and activating yourself to move forward in a new light, and encouraging others to fight in a new light as well. Yeah.
And can you guys talk about what you remember from that read you had together, and like at what point did you realize we're probably going to be in this movie together?
Do you remember the read?
I do.
What do you remember about the read?
I remember when I went into it, she has a very crazy spirit. Like, she's super fun and funny and amazing. And when I was in there, vibing with her and, the personality I felt good in it. I remember the day I was at my grandma's house, and I think
That's
I think
apropos.
so. Yeah, I was in Atlanta, and I hopped in a Zoom with her, and it was just amazing. It was a great time. So I didn't know that, I was gonna book it at that time because I still had my fingers crossed. But I just knew that, being around her was a great thing.
And I know he was fun. I know he was completely and utterly fun. He said something like, Miss Danielle, you have a beautiful smile. And I was like,
oh no.
Oh, now you did it. And then we had the scenes. We did the scenes where we were singing together.
Oh yeah.
There's
scared about that one.
Yeah.
Well, it's old school stuff, and like you hadn't ever heard it before, so it's Emmett loved Dizzy Gillespie, and there's another song. Well, that's the only one we did, so it's a Dizzy Gillespie song, and finding the rhythm and this stuff, that feeling to it, and I helped him to it. I coached you through it, so we had a good time trying to figure that out and playing with that, which I think is a mother-son dynamic that Emmett and Mamie had. They also had a kind of brotherly, sisterly dynamic as well, which we were able to like find that too. So they were, it's for me, it was the super fun stuff.
Yeah.
And doing that audition was completely, lighthearted and fun. And then doing this work together, being with him were opportunities of levity for me.
Mm-hmm. And how important was it for you to find that dynamic, especially in contrast to the later scenes in the movie where it's no longer present?
It's the lifeblood, right?
Yeah.
To keep you from falling into and staying in the darkest of places. We have fun in between setups. We had, I know I like to sing different songs. People will tell you, don't listen to them. It's not true. I sing gospel music sometimes. But it's just imperative to know, because there is joy in between sorrow. And it's not about like just wholly staying in that place. It's about understanding the full humanity of these people. That's what we want to, I would think that's what Mamie wanted a film to be made for, to remember that there is joy and love, and that's what we're fighting for.
If you could if both of you could show this movie to Mamie Till, what's the first thing you'd ask her when the credits roll?
I would say, I hope you witness the love that you hope to share with the world in what you see today. I think that's the root of everything, of why she did what she did, of why this movie is the core of what this movie is, a love story between a mother and son. And so that's what I would offer to her.
Yes. Did you say tell or ask? I'm sorry.
Ask.
Ask.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
Well, I'm told.
Yeah.
Either one works. Either one works.
I think that one thing that I would ask her, which is something that a lot of people ask us, they're like, what do you want this movie, what effect do you want this movie to have on the rest of the world? And I feel like we can give our, explanations and our opinions like left and right, but from the person who really started it, and like, if she was here in this era and everything going on, what would be her answer to wanting the world to feel from this project?
And lastly, welcome to DC.
Hey!
This is my first time in Washington.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Is there anything you guys are dying to do while you're here?
Well, you did what I want to do already.
What was that?
You started walking through the National African American Museum.
Oh, yeah.
And we had a panel there earlier today. I just want to go through it. I have not been in it. I have not, like, it's something it's like 2 miles worth of walking and experiencing African American history. And so I intend to do that when I come back again.
Well, and it's easily the newest Smithsonian too. So, well, thank you both so much for talking with me today. Till is in theaters October 14th and expands nationwide in the weeks after. This is Benjamin Price reporting for Kids First, signing off. See you next time. Bye.
Thank you.